Hello, welcome to flight number 3. This is our flight of reserves and classic wines. It begins with our Viognier, one of my personal favorites of our white wines. Viognier is a very popular grape here in Virginia. It came originally from the Rhone Valley in southern France. Ours is all stainless steel for this 2019 vintage. It's got a very wide nose to it, very open, powerful, almost a bit of a floral character to it. Smell some white flowers, maybe a little bit of stone fruit like nectarine, almost a tart nectarine on the nose. Ooh, I forgot how much I like that. On the tongue, much more peach, like a tart peach, a white peach. Not full on like a sour peach, but you get that bracing acidity. There's also a good deal of apricot to it, more like a rounder, juicier apricot. So tart peach and apricot, a little bit of that tart fruit on the nose as well. I need to have this more often. Welcome back. We're moving on to our signature wine, centerpiece of all of our wines. This is Mom. It is a blend primarily of Vidal Blanc, and the 2018 vintage also has Chardonnay and a little bit of Chardonnay blended into it. It's my personal favorite vintage of Mom because the acidity is much more bright and fresh out of this vintage. It was more of a cool, wet year, so Suda made it a little bit more like a cool climate wine, like Germany or New York State. On the nose, though, you can get a little bit of a tropical fruit character to it. But on the tongue, it really explodes. Bright nectarine, tart, ripe, juicy character, a little bit of pineapple flowing through there as well. It's really nice, lush, tropical balance of nectarine and pineapple. So, enjoy. Welcome back. We're moving on to our Reflection. This is the driest of our Chambourcin wines. This one is actually 87% Chambourcin. The rest are little bits of Petit Verdot, Tannat, and Cabernet Franc put in there to balance it out a little bit. It's one of my personal favorite summertime or food pairing wines. It's a little bit softer, but on the nose you get a nice little bit of smokiness to it that I really enjoy. Pairs really well with cured meats because of that. Some nice smoke and spice on the nose, but on the tongue I usually get a little more fruit as well. Ooh. Acidity is still very bright on that. It's a little bit older, a 2014 vintage, but I'm getting a really bright, round, almost black cherry to it. It's cherry without being that big juicy punch. It's a leaner black cherry, a little bit of plum to it, but you still get that nice smoke and spice the whole way through, and it is a little bit softer for the big powerful red wine, so it makes it a very food friendly or warm weather friendly wine, or my personal favorite pairing, a campfire. Welcome back. We're moving on to our best of the best Bordeaux style blend, the Yash Vir, named after the owner and winemaker's eldest two grandsons. This is from the 2015 vintage. It is a blend of about 60% Merlot, about a quarter Cabernet Franc, and little bits of Cabernet Sauvignon and Petit Verdot in there to balance everything out. So that makes it a bit more of a right bank Bordeaux style blend, a little bit on the softer side for a big Bordeaux blend. Ooh. This one's a little bit brighter on the nose, like a little bit of cherry. There's a little bit of woodsy, almost cedar-like spice in there, but it's on the nose more fruit forward, more cherry. There you go, that big bright red cherry that kind of takes over your whole tongue. You feel it on the sides of your tongue. On the back of my tongue, I get a little bit of that cedary, woodsy spice. So there is definitely some spice that's coming out the longer it sits in my mouth. But right up front, big juicy cherry fruit, and then on the back end, a little bit of cedar, woodsy spice. Welcome back. We're moving on to my personal favorite of all of our wines. This is the Cabernet Franc Reserve. It is from the 2016 vintage. It has 12% Petit Verdot blended into it and was aged in French and American oak barrels for 2.5 years. I typically get a good deal of that barrel age on the nose. It's got a nice toasty, warm spice character to it. Almost a little bit like cedar. Oh man, the tongue is this beautiful balance between that spice and this more lush, ripe fruit right up front. It's almost a bit like blackberries. It's got that really bright acidity, but also a little bit of darkness to it. And then you get that warming spice that kind of warms you up from the outside of your tongue towards the center, kind of makes your whole mouth feel it. It is, as I said, my personal favorite. It might be yours too. One way or another, it is an absolutely fantastic Cabernet Franc. Welcome back. We finish off Flight 3 with our Allure, a port-styled wine aged in bourbon barrels for 10 years. So being port-styled, it was fortified by adding brandy to it, so it raises the alcohol considerably. It's almost 20% alcohol. There's a little bit of sugar to it as well to kind of balance out that big boozy character. And then you get, especially on the nose, I smell the bourbon barrel, that richer, toastier, almost caramel, that caramel barrel. Oh man. Heavy duty, but very soft, well-rounded texture to it, but it gives you this punch of dark berry fruit. A little bit of almost cocoa powder character to it. Figs, big time figs. Figs, plums, and cocoa powder. Absolutely fantastic from the 2009 vintage, again, aged in bourbon barrels for 10 years. Cheers.